Okay, welcome back. I'm still on page 285 looking at this figure 7.5 on this, earned value management chart. It's an excellent chart. It tells you everything you need to know because somebody comes in and says, we're 75% complete. I don't know what that means. I really don't know. Is that you spent 75% of the money? Does that mean you're at 75% of the estimate of the schedule or 75% of the bulk of the work? I mean, I don't know what that means. This tells me what that means. So, did you know that Microsoft Project can do an EVM chart? Yes, it can. On the next one, they talk about they're trying to extol the virtues of using this technique, and so they talk about those companies that are really using it. So, private industry versus the Defense Department. The Defense Department is one of the first ones for big projects that started using this technique so they could kind of track how the contractors are going, right? And to tell you the truth, using the EVM technique would probably be good if you're trying to force it onto a subcontractor, right? Like I'm the company, but I'm contracting out for the development of this project. I probably want to use EVM to force them to show me these charts, like I just said, right? Because if they come back and say, well, I need more money, I want to say, show me your EVM chart. I don't believe you. Okay, that kind of thing. All right. So here's just a little chart in the book talking about who's actually using it. A few pilot project, large, and then huge projects that are used for everybody. And so private industry is kind of lagging behind to some extent. Maybe it's just because the Defense Department is notoriously for making huge projects. But anyway, they're saying that everyone should be using EVM because it's the only practical way to manage. Remember, this whole section is about controlling, right? Controlling and monitoring. Well, if you set yourself up for using EVM, controlling and monitoring becomes pretty trivial. You just collect the data and produce the chart and go, yep, it looks good. I mean, think about it from a management perspective. Don't you just want to glance over a chart and go, okay, I don't have to think about that. I can do something else now. That project's on track. We're good, and move on. All right. So the last thing to talk about on page 288 is project portfolio management, and so there's some suggestions, and they're common sense suggestions. And that is when you're trying to build a portfolio of all these projects. Remember what a portfolio is, right? It's a collection of projects that are all designed to achieve some strategic goal, right? And so you don't necessarily get to do them all because there's not enough money or time in the world to do them all. So you pick the ones that you want. Okay. So what they're suggesting is you put these things in some sort of a database and have lots of different attributes that you can use for sorting them by, all sorts of things. So, for example, you could prioritize the projects by different, by cost or by benefit or by whatever. And they suggest like you add a field in the database that kind of categorizes the projects in there, such as, is this a maintenance kind of thing? In other words, this is not really a sexy kind of project, but it needs to be done. It's just, I need to upgrade my database to something a little more sophisticated. It's not, oh wow, great project. It's like, it's just maintenance, okay? We just need to get this thing down. Versus, this is an honest to God upgrade. We're going to have, more whistles and more bells. And yes, you're going to get something out of this other than just maintenance. You're going to get the whole freaking thing, and it's all going to be cool. And then the next category they're suggesting is those things that are the strategic things. A strategic investment. Those things are going to have large gains towards achieving your strategic goals. Whatever my strategic goal is for my company, which one's going to have the most impact on that would be a good way to categorize projects in your portfolio. And I think the reason why it's here in this section, in the cost section of the book, because quite frankly, this topic could appear practically anywhere, is the idea that a lot of people are making these decisions based upon costs. It's not that Project B is a fantastic project. It's super duper. It's going to help me leap forward in my strategic plan. I just can't afford it this year. Maybe next year I can afford it. That kind of thing. So having good cost estimates are going to really help you with your portfolio management. Okay, now we're done with the chapter. I guess I'll see you guys again in some future chapter.